you guys are on the verge of something really special. So I'm excited for you.
Right. Jonathan, do you mind going next?
Sure. My name is Jonathan Key. I'm originally from Belgium, but I've now been living in the Netherlands for the past 13 years, so I do consider myself a total full-fledged Dutchie by now, although Amsterdammers have a different opinion on that from time to time. Just like Pierre, I had a really transformational experience studying abroad. So I studied abroad when I was your age, or at least in your age bracket. I had just turned 18, just graduated high school. So only a couple of years ago. That's not true at all. And I studied abroad in Oregon for a full year, and I lived with a homestay family for that full year in Oregon, and it completely changed my life and set me on the path that I'm on today. I am the center director of the Amsterdam Study Center, which means that I oversee an amazing team of dedicated study abroad professionals, of which my colleague Alina is one. I also teach one of our classes that we teach here at the center. And I've been doing that for a little over 8 years. So I'll gladly pass the baton to Alina.
Thank you. Well, my name is Alina. You will see me glance to the side since I see all your beautiful faces on the side in the presentation here. My name is Alina. I am the student life coordinator here in Amsterdam for almost 4 years with this new title. For me as well, I really wanted to study abroad during high school to Japan. I was too afraid to do so. So I really recommend or admire you guys' strength and courage. But I did go with my passion for Japan, led me to study Japan studies, and actually led me to go and live there for a year. And as everyone else said as well already, for me, it was a really transformative experience as well, which led me also to want to work with international students and ultimately got me with this job. This will be my first time actually leading and coordinating, so I'll be your program coordinator, which means that I will make, together with Jonathan, the whole setup, so the whole structure. And I've been active also with last year's program as well, which was incredible. So I'm more and beyond excited for you guys, for you all to come as well and to experience Amsterdam and the topic that you will be studying. So yeah, thank you.
Great. All right. So Alina, do you want to share your screen? And I don't know if you or Jonathan is starting, but kick it off.
Yes, I just want to double check. Can everyone still see my screen? Yep. Amazing. All right then. So take it away, Jonathan.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, Alina. So what you see here is a picture from last year's high school program. So this was the Queer Life and Activism group. I forget which session it was. I believe it was the second session of our Queer Life and Activism group. And what you see here is sort of the connections that form on this type of really intensive program, where it's all about sort of you getting to know each other as you get to know the city of Amsterdam and the topic that you will be delving into during your summer abroad experience in the city. You see here these really, really famous canal houses. I'm sure that to many of you, that may have been one of the pictures that came to mind immediately when you thought of the city of Amsterdam. Water, the canals, you even see one of the canal cruise ships right there in the background, and then these beautiful 17th and 18th century canal houses that line the canal district. Beautiful representation of what we hope your program will be this coming summer. If you could advance to the next slide, Alina. Great. I'm not sure if we have any more housekeeping notes that we need to take care of. For those of you who logged into the call a little bit later, we do ask that for the breakout sessions, if you can rename yourself. So there's these 3 dots in the top right-hand corner of your Zoom screen. If you can rename yourself and put either QLA next to your name for the Queer Life and Activism program or WG for the World Government program, then that will make it easier as we sort you into your breakout rooms. later on in the presentation. As Pierre already said, the goal for us is really to get to know each other, to make sure that you understand exactly what these two programs and your study abroad experience in Amsterdam will entail. And then for us just to chat and talk about the programs and these topics in our breakout sessions. So yeah, on to the next slide. Where will you be studying abroad? Where in the world is Amsterdam and the Netherlands? So we provided this handy map right here, and we even circled the city of Amsterdam. The Netherlands is kind of a quirky country in that we have two capitals, which is fairly unique. Amsterdam is the cultural capital of the country, but it is not our seat of government. So for you world government students, it's kind of interesting. The Hague is our political capital. So all of our government institutions are in the city of The Hague, clustered together around a really iconic square, which we will definitely be taking you to. But Amsterdam is the cultural capital of the city. It's a tiny country, just barely over 17 million people, but the vast majority of them all live in between these three cities: Amsterdam, The Hague, and Rotterdam. Rotterdam being the second biggest city in the country and the economic engine of the Netherlands. You may know that Rotterdam is home to the Port of Rotterdam, which is the biggest port in Europe. We've already introduced ourselves. My name is Jonathan. You see a picture of me there, and then Alina, who will actually be coordinating your high school programs. So what are some of the reasons why past students, like the students that you see there, this is actually in the city of Rotterdam, climbing a building or hanging from that building, whatever the case might be. Why did they decide to study in the Netherlands? And why do our students decide to come to the Netherlands? I'm going to skip right down to the fourth bullet point, which I think is really the most important one for the programs that you've all selected or have expressed an interest in. When people think of the Netherlands, when we think of the Netherlands as people who live here, we often think about a really progressive country, about a country that has proven extremely innovative and forward-thinking when it comes to social policies. How do we address these pressing issues in terms of governmental initiatives, in terms of the representation of underrepresented and marginalized communities, and in terms of hot-button controversial social issues like same-sex marriage or euthanasia. And those two examples I list specifically because the Netherlands was the first country to legalize same-sex marriage and to legalize euthanasia in 2000 and 2001, respectively. So the Netherlands has this long-standing reputation of being an innovator in terms of social policy thinking and public policy making. At the same time, the Netherlands, together with Belgium and Luxembourg, was actually one of the founding members of the very first precursor to the European Union. It was called the BNE-Lux. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it. Belgium, BE, Netherlands, NE, Lux, Luxembourg. That then evolved into the European Community for Coal and Steel. We had to learn all about this in high school. I'm not sure if that was true for you too, Alina, but that's drilled into us in a very early age. That was in 1944, which later evolved into the European Community, which then became the European Union. So the Netherlands has had a seat at the table in terms of thinking about supranational governmental organizations since the very beginning. And it is still home today to some of the key European institutions in terms of global governance. Probably the crown jewel being the International Criminal Court of Justice, which is located in The Hague. In terms of the general culture in the Netherlands and the vibe, Amsterdam and the Netherlands is all about tolerance. It's all about open-mindedness. It's all about being who you are and getting to be who you are. It says so right there. We believe that we're pretty focused on happiness. Again, social policy plays a role here in terms of how we think about work, how we think about sort of providing parental leave for fathers and mothers. All of this feeds into this happiness index, which puts Amsterdam at the 6th happiest country in the world. And then, and this is something that to a lot of students does give them a sense of comfort and security, almost everyone speaks English in the Netherlands, and this is especially true in Amsterdam. So you'll never have any sort of trouble getting around or meeting locals, because Amsterdam, for all English, for all intents and purposes, is really our second language here in the city. So yeah, let's move on. So what are some of the highlights of Amsterdam? Well, one is pictured right here, and this is another group of high school students. This right here is a picture of the Royal Palace. It is right in the very sort of most central point of Amsterdam, which is called Dam Square. We call it the Royal Palace, but it's one of the royal palaces, and it is not the one that the King and Queen live in. Of course, like any good royal family, they have a collection of palaces to choose from, but this is the palace in the city center, and this is where they receive foreign dignitaries and heads of state when they choose to visit the Netherlands. This is just one of the many landmarks and museums that are boasted by the city of Amsterdam. Right before the call, we were actually talking a little bit about the Anne Frank House and what an amazingly moving experience it is to be in the Anne Frank House and to live and breathe the trial of Anne Frank and her family, and by extension, the Jewish community in the World War II and pre-World War II era. We also have the Van Gogh and Rembrandt museums. Some of you may know that the Netherlands in the 17th century had its so-called golden age, which is when it produced the art, the commerce, and the thinking that made it in many ways the leader of the world at that point in time. Did we just move through the slides really quickly? Yes, we did, but we're back where we need to be on this slide. Amsterdam is a small city in a small country, which makes it really easy to navigate. So whether you choose to walk or use public transportation or bike, and we will be taking you on a couple of bike trips if you feel comfortable biking in the city of Amsterdam. We will also ensure that you will have your helmet tightly fastened. So we want to make sure that you are able to experience Amsterdam the way it's meant to be experienced, which is really by biking. So let's move on. As many of you, most of you in all likelihood already know, we will be offering 2 high school programs this coming summer. The first is a program called Queer Life and Activism, and the second is our World Government program. And now that I've sort of introduced you and given you the big high-level view of your study abroad experience, I happily turn it over to Alina, and she will provide you with some more details on these programs and what you can expect on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you, Jonathan. All right, so let's go on. So while both programs have their own schedule, of course, they have the same structure. So what is a typical week usually in these programs? So first of all, you have, of course, your 15 hours of interactive classes with CIEE. And these classes are dedicated to let you learn more, not only about the topic that you're studying, but also how you move around the world with this knowledge and how these organizations affect the world. Of course, there's not just the class that you listen to, but there's also guest lectures and site visits to local organizations. And this allows you to furthermore learn more about these the topics, and also to grow and extend your own experience in that way with the topics. Of course, we'll also have some daily cultural activities and excursions. So every single day you have something fun that is connected to your experience in the city of Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, but also on the topic that you're actually studying. And we're always scheduling free time as well, so you can explore and have fun. For example, you see on the picture, you see the Rijksmuseum, and that was an area that we also had some free time in, so students can then roam around, take pictures, and go on these great locations themselves. About food, breakfast is always included and lunch and dinner as well. However, usually we eat our lunch in the morning at a buffet and have lunch and dinner in different locations. And the beauty of that is that you can actually explore different locations and different restaurants and cultures yourself. You'll also be able to learn and connect with local peers. And this is such a beautiful part and such a fun part of the experience. So you can actually talk to people of your own age with the same kind of interest about their experience and how you can grow and create the bridge between the two cultures together. We'll separate a little bit about the two programs because, of course, we have these two programs here. So first, why will you love learning about queer life and activism in Amsterdam? Well, as Jonathan explained a little bit already, the Netherlands has had a cutting-edge role in advocating for LGBTQ rights and equality initiatives. And one of the reasons why Amsterdam is so powerful in that is that you can still, wherever you go, there's organizations and monuments that commemorate and celebrate these organizations wherever you go. It's therefore also home to nationally prominent LGBTQ organizations. We will actually be able to visit and learn and get real life experience with these organizations as well. The activities that we will also go on will combine this queer culture, history, and politics and life all together. So with that, you won't just read about it in a newspaper or anything like that. We'll actually explore the culture together. So first of all, for example, here are some examples together. We'll go on a folk dance workshop where you not only learn about ballroom culture, but also about the self-confidence that you can gain from it. I was actually there. I wasn't that good, but it really sensed and it really created a bond with coming into your own and learning about community. We'll also visit and learn about the COC, which is one of the world's oldest LGBTQ advocacy groups, and we'll also go on separate occasions, go within the city. So, for example, the Queer History Walking Tour, where you will learn about which monuments, which buildings, which rich history can you still see and still experience while walking through Amsterdam. And as we said before, you will actually meet up with students from local gay straight alliances from high schools. So not only will you learn about what they are and how they were set up, but even more so, how do students really live and how did they experience their life as a high schooler, either queer or just advocating for these alliances as well. Then about why Amsterdam is the ideal location to learn about world government. As you might know, the program was previously scheduled to be in Brussels, but was actually moved to Amsterdam. And what a great experience that will be, because as Jonathan said already, the Amsterdam is not only a great location to learn about specific organizations, but since the Netherlands is so small, we actually have the experience and we have the opportunity to go to these locations and also even visit Brussels. So, important to know, as Jonathan said already, the Netherlands has a long history as a leader in the formation of the European Union. We'll learn about it not only in class, but also by visiting organizations and creating our own research on it as well. It's also home to vital international organizations such as the High Commissioner's Office for Refugees, and we'll also visit again these organizations too. As I said, it also has, the Netherlands and Amsterdam has great connections to official institutions, such as the International Peace Palace in The Hague. As you will see to the picture to the left, that's the Peace Palace. And we usually go on tours there. And you will learn about the significance of this beautiful building. It always reminds me of Harry Potter. But this beautiful building that really helps connect and bring countries back together. While also enjoying the beauty of this building as well. And also, for example, the Council of European Union in Brussels. So we'll actually be able to go on an excursions all together and learn about these organizations firsthand by actually visiting and talking to policymakers as well. There's many political topics that we will discuss. For example, we'll be taking you inside political institutions, so you'll be able to ask questions, learn about a different setting. As we can understand that this is very specific, you will learn about different aspects of the whole idea of governance. And also we'll be able to debate with local politically minded peers. Again, you will then be able to do not only debating, but also just reconnecting with youth of your own age, like-minded, and find connections, even while you are from different countries, and bridging that gap that is so needed in the world right now. Then daily activities and excursions. I'm just gonna quickly, while you can explore the pictures, I'll talk a little bit more about daily activities and excursions. So as you can see, and as we talked about before, the program is scheduled in a way that you'll be able to explore not only the topic that you're studying, but also explore your own experience and own and different experiences and different fields. So for example, we will have a Dutch cooking class. While the Netherlands isn't famous for their cuisine, it is very fun to learn about an original dish that is one of the three, I would say, dishes that the Netherlands has. I'm just gonna quickly check out the chat since they're, let's see. All right, oh, I see all these great comments. Please keep them going even while I talk. Great. So we'll also go on museum visits. So for example, the Anne Frank Museum or the Rembrandt. There's a lot of different museums to explore from different fields. We'll also do some local crafts and arts and go on a bike tour and kayak excursions, so which you can see in the down corner. We actually went to the Amsterdamse Bos. These things you can already look up, which is to the south of Amsterdam city, the city. And we actually went to the biking and kayaking trip, which was incredible. The weather was wonderful. It was such one student or one pair of students, we got lost together, which was really fun because it helped you connect to each other in a different setting and really explore the Dutch nature, which we actually have as well. And important to know is that all activities and excursions bring life and aspect to the topics discussed in class. So the things that we will discussing and seeing together, they will link in together. So at the end of the program, you'll be able to say that you not only had experience abroad, but really broaden your mind in different fields as well. Just to pinpoint the pictures, to the right, you have our student who, when we were volunteering at a local community center, we created and cooked meals for everyone in that community. And one student actually sang at the karaoke bar, a karaoke set, which was really cool at their birthday, on their birthday, which was really incredible. They also did a dance class, and this is a picture again from Rotterdam, which shows the incredible architectural playground, which is Rotterdam, in which you will see when we visit. Then come home to your hostel. Again, if you have any questions or anything, please, or tips, already put it in the chat. But about your hostel, as we will be staying here for 3 weeks, this will be your home away from home. And what we've seen in the previous sessions is that these will be the moments that you really reconnect and reflect on your time and to settle down in a way to take in all the new information. You'll be able to share a room with a new friend. As you see the picture below, this was one taken in the evening when everyone was still ready to go to bed, but still, of course, playing around a little bit It looks so much fun. You will be usually sharing with a couple of other students. As you see to the picture to the right, you have your own bunk bed, and together you'll share the bathroom as well. This is of course permitted with the whole pandemic, but we are hopeful for the future. As I said before, breakfast will be a buffet in the mornings, and we'll also have dinner here sometimes as a buffet. As you will see in the picture below, it has a great open lounge where you can reconnect and call your family or play some games during your free time. There's also a table soccer set, so you can challenge each other every single, well, I know that last time we had like a competition as well, which was really fun. So I highly recommend and challenge you to have this game together. All right, then about COVID-19 and the current conditions. As you know, the future is very hopeful. A lot of things can change, but for now, these are the conditions that are applying for the Netherlands. The face masks are mandatory in all indoor spaces, as well as public transportation. Of course, the 6 feet social distancing everywhere is still implemented, and also non-essential businesses are currently closed. We are currently in a separate lockdown until January, but with the vaccine in the future, we are very hopeful that this will change. Testing widely is already available free of charge. There's a 48-hour turnaround, and all of these policies are evaluated every 2 weeks. Of course, while you are in the Netherlands and while the pandemic will be there, we will of course update you daily on the situation and if something changes. We are committed to provide a safe environment for you, and therefore we are trained and also provide assistance whenever you need to as well. Fun to note already is that while the pandemic is currently still going on, we have hosted and we just ended our program with our student. Our student was Skyler. He was the sole student here in Amsterdam, and we had so much fun together. And there were so many opportunities you still can go on. And he said that while it's different to be in a situation when there's still a pandemic, it really allows for a lot of different experiences as well. So for example, he got really close with one friend, and he had some beautiful experiences together. We also had in France and other cities, we had high school students actually this program. So that shows that while we are hopeful, there is still the opportunity, there's always the opportunity to host students as well. Let's see. Just double checking with this.